Perfect. Thank you so much. And this is a lot of administrative things, but let me go ahead. So the first thing is to pay Becker's invoices 2023 and 2024. The overall value of the new invoice of Becker's, which is slightly lower than the last one they've sent us, which by the way, they sent us a check to sign, which was a little bit higher than this one. Now the overall value after being checked is 5,706 and 28 cents. So this is one of the checks. Part of this check will pay expenses from 2023 as already aligned with the Primex. This needs to allocate to 2023. The remaining part, like $500, is for 2024. That will be allocated obviously this year. So the first thing is to propose to pay this check, $5,706.28, and another check of $450, which is the check for them to free all the records that have been requested by the board. Do I get your approval? So
yes.
Perfect. Now, the second one, proposed to pay Strang Trison, the invoice that was emitted March 4th. Strang Trison is the new attorney that we have, and the invoice is $2,856.25. Do I have your approval?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Yes. Then a check to be sent to Vitral AC Solutions. That was the company that came to solve the problem of the AC. And this invoice is $160. I'm going to send all the paperwork, etc., to Primex, but I want your approval. $160.
Yes.
Perfect. The other one is proposed to pay Alfredo because he paid the trees trimming. The trees trimming is related with the insurance that made several requirements. This is an invoice that we already received, and this $400 because they made trees, $50 each one of them. So we need to pay trees trimming company, which is $400. Do I get your approval?
Yes.
Perfect. The final thing for proposal is requesting a $750 credit card because until now, as you see, we need to have Alfredo paying, and then we need to receive everything from Alfredo, and then we need to pay. So it's not a normal, it's not an easy process. So what we've talked in the past is a $750 credit card to be used by the secretary only for maintenance expenses. We would be following always all the reports monthly, but this will involve, as I talked with Valley Bank, that Alfredo will send his ID and social security, which, by the way, let me tell you, there's no impact on his credit scoring, but it needs to be approved in minutes by ourselves before we make this request. And I also ask two questions. First, do we approve the launching of this credit card? And the second one is questioning, obviously, officially Alfredo if he does mind of sending the social security and his ID to Valley Bank, because it's the only way we can have this credit card associated with Leeward Point, but with obviously a nominee. So we need to nominate somebody for the credit card. So the first question to the board, do we approve the credit card?
Is it an actual credit card or a prepaid card?
It is a natural credit card. It's not a prepaid. They don't have a prepaid. I asked about that. And so it's a normal credit card. So every month they're going to launch a statement, and we're going to need to pay them monthly, but it's going to be an automatic payment. So
one of the points of clarity, even though you mentioned it, but we would need to ensure that it does not impact nor run Alfredo's credit or anything like that.
No credit impact from what it was said by our account manager.
But if they're asking for the social security, it means that they're going to run his credit.
I didn't understand what Alan asked. Sorry.
If they ask for the social security number, then they use that at least to run something.
If they are running something, and obviously Alfred can have a double conversation, a new conversation with Valley, they would do a soft, but they didn't say about any type of check or any type of impact. What they said is that they need to have like if the card is lost or if something needs, they need to have something on file. And what they usually use for the contact center is the last 4 digits of the social security. So whenever Alfred would call to know something or that the card is lost or there's a problem, he needs to provide the 4. They don't set, they run any type of credits, even soft or hard checking. But obviously, Alfredo, feel free to ask everything again because I already asked, but feel free to ask again.
I just asked Alfredo and. Okay, yeah, he clarified, and maybe you two can discuss later. The point of approval is if it does not run nor impact his credit, then he is fine with that. And I think the rest of the board is fine with the $750 credit card.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now we need to decide next steps related to Dynatech invoice. So we send an check of $1,200. I already asked Primus about what can we do after, because I don't know in the United States, completely frank, how to void a check that I don't have in front of me. So the check is lost. So we sent the $1,200 to Dynatech. Remember, Dynatech was the company that did pre-asbestos testing, and right now they say they haven't received anything. So I don't know how to void the check if I cannot have the check with myself. So the check is somewhere in the United States, so I don't know where it is. So I remember when I was doing something in my home, I wanted to void a check, and Wells Fargo told me I couldn't because the check was already on somewhere. So I had to pay again, and thank God the check was never met the branch. But what do you guys recommend? I don't know. So shall we pay again the Dynatech and say to the bank, I don't know. I don't believe Dynatech will charge us twice, but I don't know exactly what other procedures we should do.
And I think there's a way to do a stop payment. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm just wondering, how long has it been since we sent the check?
Oh, so the check, if we have, so Tiffany, do you remember when did you send the check? Because I know when we signed it, and I can check here when we sign it. I don't know when we send it.
Yeah, I
So
can
can you
check.
check
I
it?
can check. Yeah, I can check now, but I know it was a while ago, and I did speak to the bank, and they did say that you can put a stop payment on the check. We just need to give them the check number, and we can put a stop payment on it. So even if somebody does try to cash it, the bank won't cash it because there's already a note of a stop payment on that check number.
Oh,
Did they tell you
perfect.
how much the
Okay,
fee was
perfect.
to stop payment?
No, but I can find out. They didn't mention a fee, so
Yeah,
I can find that out for you.
Yeah, that makes more sense to put a stop payment and then cut another check to me.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you so much. So I think that the decision here would be to make a stop payment if the costs are not very high, or let's. So I think they are calling me. Sorry. I will ask Manela to take it. Okay. Manela, tá a falar aqui no. Manela, you have to disconnect from the Manela. Okay. Sorry, guys. Because it's the guy from the towing calling us, but Manela took the call. Okay, so we're gonna know from Tiffany how much is this, and then most probably we're gonna do a stop and emit a new check. We are all agreeing with this, correct?
Let's just, so we don't have to bring it up again. So, Joe, so we don't have to bring it up again in the next meeting. I say, let's just say a number. If it's up to $20, we already approve it. So we can already move forward. Okay? Are you guys
So
okay with
Tiffany, yeah, completely okay. Until $20, did you hear, Tiffany? Okay, perfect. We have a decision on that. Now, these are now status and I know because I already talked with Robert. So we are waiting for an answer of 911 restoration in terms of a discount that Robert has asked. The answer still didn't come. And so we are still waiting to make the payment. We want to pay, but we are just waiting for that answer. Correct, Robert? We still didn't get it until now.
That's correct.
Perfect. So the second thing we are
for the big one.
911 restoration. The other status, and this is also to be in minutes, is the status of Primex. So Robert contacted Primex to get a discount on the value associated with the number of meetings we had, but we still didn't get an answer from Orlando, so we're waiting for that. The other one is the Comcast contract. So I don't know if we already started the cancellation, but we need at the same time to ensure Wi-Fi at least on the gym, which I think it will be great to do. The problem is that the invoice will come tomorrow. It's on the 14th. So I believe we're going to have another month, correct? We haven't something
Well,
prepared to change this?
I took out the, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry.
I took out the TV boxes today, to return those to Comcast. And, when basically what they will do is they won't charge you for the whole month. If they do charge the whole month, there'll be a refund for the, overage, basically the days not used.
Perfect. And Robert, if you want, I can help you to identify with T-Mobile, but it's a very simple thing. They have a business account for Wi-Fi, which is the one I use for my company at home. It's $40 and it works very well. So I think it's, but okay. So the status of this is done. Now, the hardest thing. So ACG engineer sent us 2 invoices for January and February. The first thing I want to do a motion is to send the communication to ACG engineering saying freezing all the jobs. We cannot be receiving another invoice from this company. And right now, I'm not sure they are not inventing something they are doing right now. So at the end of the day, we need to stop. So my motion is to send the communication to ACG engineering saying freeze all the activities that you are doing right now until further order and tell us what you have in hand, but not to expense anything more. And like the last meeting regarding ACG engineering, I think we need to talk very quickly with our attorney just to understand what is our leverage to dispute these 2 invoices, which are outrageous. I'll say it again, outrageous from January and February. And I will not even discuss this because these values are outrageous. So my first motion is, can we send, is to send the communication freezing all the work with ACG engineering. Do I have does somebody second this?
I thought we did. Yeah, discussion here was, we thought we already approved that. As Alfredo said, so I think we're in agreement to that. We would just need, one of 2 ways. We either contact them directly or just have the lawyer send a letter. I think I would probably prefer that we just reach out to them directly. That's nothing contentious about that. It's just, there's no contractor, and there's no activity. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, I think in the arguments that we can present to ACG engineering, it was told several times to ACG engineering, like I said in the last meeting and the previous one, that we told them to notify us every time they go to our place. One thing was the meetings they had with Alan, etc. Another thing is the number of meetings they presented of being in Leeward Point and the time they spent doing a ton of things. So I think there's a lot of things that we can dispute in these invoices. And once again, it's as a very bad practice in business, especially on February when almost there was no works done there. So I think that the conversation can happen on these terms if you guys agree.
Yeah, and we'll pass around a draft email before it's actually sent out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, now the secretary will provide to Primex a key related check of $25.47. So I don't know, Alfredo, did you already provide to Tiffany that check of $25.47, which was a check that you received from a unit owner, which by the way, it will be referenced by you, about a key that was broken to get an access to the gym. So just notifying the board that this check is entering Primex to be deposited in our operating account. Alfredo, do you confirm the check?
Yeah, I have the check here.
Perfect. Now, my final thing is that, as you can see, and for me, this is very clear, when I receive the list of people in delinquency, and this is not related with the 3 units that we already communicated, I would freeze for now because I cannot send communications, we as a board or Primex, if we don't have very clear delinquencies. So there are several topics here. Unit 24, for example, provided 2 times its check. So it already mailed 1 time, emailed the 2nd time. he photographed everything and sent it to us, to board and Primex, etc. This has not been accounted. I know that Michael, that lives in sometimes in the unit of Alfredo, deposit for unit 27 several checks that pays even maintenance in advance, and also there's a check of $14,000 for the maintenance for the special assessment. And these are two examples that they are very close, and we have communications associated that are not reported. And because they are not reported, they appear in the delinquency list. So I would do this, and let's be very clear, like we did in the previous, within the 10 days, we send a universal communication to everybody that we notice in delinquency. And I'm not talking about the 3 other units, and we need to discuss those, and saying, look, it looks like you guys, I have not paid or the maintenance fees or the special assessment. Please solve your in a more timely manner. For now, I wouldn't never after 10 days, and I think the main rationale behind it is that we are still very far away from a consistent process where we can trust the numbers, and we can say obviously that this comes from the deposit checks, the problems we've been having, etc. But without proper numbers, we cannot have a proper process. So what I would propose is for the units that are now starting to be in delinquency for the special assessment or for the maintenance fees, or that we think they are in delinquency, because some of them, as I proved, they are not in delinquency, we send them a communication saying, guys, please solve. If you haven't done it yet, please solve or enter in contact with us. This is a light letter, I would say, for them to solve. The other and the other thing, and I would like to discuss this after we solve these, is the other 3 units that we already notify. Remember, there were 4 big units in arrears. One of them was unit 2 that was apparently solved, but we still have another 3 units that we already notified. And I need to know through Tiffany, what is the status of those 3 units? And
Yes,
for that, yes, but for the other ones, I would just send a communication, say, in case you are in arrears on the maintenance fee or the special assessment, please contact us or solve your problem, etc., etc. So it's always a possibility for us, for the unit owners to come to us and say, okay, but I deposit a check in the day, blah, 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 or I made a transfer, blah, blah, blah. So it's a humble position for ourselves, and at the same time, giving the possibility of the homeowners. The other 3 ones, I think we can move forward because we already gave them the notification. It's another month, and if these 3 units that are already in arrears, they are still in arrears. Now we are talking about for some of them more than 2 or 3 months, because as you know, we froze the payments because there were no communications before December. But now we already communicated. Now a month has passed, so whatever is still in arrears for those 3 units, I would definitely start to look at our policy of penalty and apply that for these 3 units. The same thing applied in a universal manner to all the units that we are communicating now. In 1 month, if in the day 10 of April, they are still not solving their situation, then like the other 3, we put those on a penalty. So we do it universal. That is my proposal to the board. And just want to hear if you agree, or what are your ideas regarding this process.
Let me distill that a little bit, just so I understand. Are you saying there's 2 processes? Oh, there's 2 areas of delinquency. There's 3 units that have longer term delinquency that is proven, and there's other units that might be late on their current payment. What you're saying is,
I would put it a little bit different. There were 3 units that we already communicated properly. They were in delinquency. And in these 3 units, we already communicated. A month has passed, and if they are still in delinquency, we start to have a problem. So we need to increase the level. So I would start the penalty fees and everything associated now after the 10. For the other ones, we still didn't communicate anything. So I would start, as we did for the other ones, and this is universal, with a letter. And a letter that I would say, because we are not very certain about the numbers, and I can tell you about the 24th, unit 24 and 27, though I saw today Stephanie's email, but you can see the deposits, at least of the 27, are in Valley Bank. So at the end of the day, we need to tell them, look, it looks like from our accountability, you are delinquent after though I don't like the word delinquent, but it is what it is. After the 10th of March, please, if you're still in this situation, please, by the way, one of the units is the unit 40. Sorry, Alfredo, but and it's not in delinquency, for example. So we have several that are completely solved and they are in the list. So at the end of the day, we give the possibility of people to say, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Or if there is, people to pay. And then after a month, when we get to the 10th of April, now these units are in exactly the same position of the process like the free ones that we communicated last month. Remember
Okay,
those communications, you know?
So basically, the 3 units, we start the late charges on right now. The other units, we write a letter that says, from our records, that shows you haven't paid yet. You have until April 10th to pay. And after that, there'll be late fees incurred.
Yes, and that means like on the 10th of April, which will be the 10th of March for the other free. So the other free arrived on 10th of March after 1 month after the letter was sent. The other ones will be on 10th of, so we maintain the process.
Are we good with that?
Yeah, if it's legal, I'm good with that, yeah.
Alfredo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And remember that 10% is applicable on the 10th after the delinquency. What we are saying is that we are extending 1 month. And remember the conversation we had with our new attorneys. They said, okay, it's good practice that we don't start penalizing the units after 10 months of delinquency. It is a good practice that we educate them, etc. Obviously, imagine that there's a unit that every month pays 1 month later, then starts to be chronic, and then we will need to address it, which is not the examples that we have in Leeward Point. Besides the free units and the unit that was just sold, I don't know if it's sold or not, but it went through the process. Those are the more problematic 4 units that we have. The other ones don't look like they are, but they can become problematic, obviously. So that would be my proposal. And I heard Alan, so if we have any type of question about legality about the process, we have it in our rules that were shared by Tiffany, but we can also run through Avi and
Joe, 1 second. Alfredo is clarifying something.
According to what Joe said, so Joe, the thing that I'm trying to clarify is that you are going to make basically an extension for the late fee, right? So this has to be communicated to all the unit owners. So everybody is already aware that the fees.
Yes and no. Yes and no, Alfredo, and I'll let you know why. Because the more you explain, and now it's completely against my principles of transparency, but it is like this. If you start to officialize that you are only going to be putting penalty fees like 1 month, almost 2 months afterwards, you can start to incentivize bad practices within the community. So in some way, what we are still keeping is that you are delinquent after the 10th. But what we are saying is that because you are delinquent, or we suppose that you are delinquent, we send a letter. We know that we can start charging the fees, and that means what? If we have a delinquent unit that every month pays 2 months afterwards, or no, we're going to decide and say, look, this is the 6th or the 5th or the 4th time this unit is doing this, so it's becoming chronic, so we need to address this topic in a different way. But I would not change the process. And if you want to check these legally, because the more you institutionalize that you can pay late, then everybody will start to pay late, because it's better to have the money getting interest on my side than paying. So it's hard to say it this way, but it's maintaining the process and the rights to collect on our side, but getting an educational path towards the unit owners.
Okay.
So there's 2 processes here. The three units that are delinquent for longer periods of time, that March 10th date still applies to them. So they incur, as of March 11th, the late fee, because they were sent a letter to reconcile everything by March 10th. And apparently they didn't. So those units specifically that were in delinquent, that have higher balances for not paying the monthly thing, their late fees start March 10th, according to the letter that was given to them. These other units, so that's process one. The other units, process two, there was some confusion as to whether units had paid or not, right? You being one, and then you showed, no, I did pay. And so Primex had a list of units that did not pay March. And so what he's saying, without putting words in his mouth, the 3 units, late fees start already. They owe late fees. The rest of the units, there was some confusion. Please make sure you pay your thing, because by April 10th, you will incur late fees. But that only goes to the units that are in arrears. It doesn't go to the
Robert,
whole.
Robert, the only thing I want to say, it's only one process, because this is exactly what we've done to the other 3 units. We notify them, and if they are still in arrears, which I don't know, only after 1 month, we are now starting to penalize them on terms of penalties. So it's
Right.
it's only one process. One of them is already coming from a notification on the 10th of February. So they are starting penalizing on 10th of March. These ones that we are communicating now will be penalized, I hope not, on 10th of April, because they go all
Right.
through the same process. So what I'm saying is that we are not penalizing after 10 days. We are penalizing after 1 month and 10 days, but we maintain the rule of the 10 days. So it's like we have this month that we would have the right to penalize, but we are like almost waiving this right to say, look, we are trying to get a conversation, and because obviously the numbers sometimes are not the most correct, we are still giving, you see, but the process is just one, is exactly the same one for the 3 units that we already communicated last month, and these ones that we're going to communicate for the first time.
Okay.
Something must be said. That's my personal opinion.
No, okay. We got it. So just to put it to rest for Tiffany. So the idea here is the first letter is a reminder, friendly reminder letter. We don't have payment in the records. Please make sure you made the payment. If you did, please show us the proof of payment, and we're sorry about that. Blah blah blah. Then if they did not pay, then the next one, basically, like Joe said, is the actual delinquency letter. Okay.
Correct. And this is already the process we followed with the 3 units that were already in arrears.
Okay. And that would hold true for both maintenance fee and special assessment.
Correct. Exactly the same thing. And some people are still, and I know, and Alfredo, I hope I'm not doing any in confidence, but people are still calling Alfredo and asking, okay, what is this of a special assessment? So we need this communication, education, sharing, etc. I don't think there's a systemic problem, but we need obviously to tell people, yes, there's a special assessment, you have to pay or in month or in total, etc. But until now, nothing looks there's a systemic problem, but obviously there's education here to be done.
Okay, sounds good.
Tiffany, got it?
Tiffany,
Okay.
did you
Yes.
understand that?
Yeah, I heard all of that. And just so you guys know, there was an issue with the reporting from Valley Bank. I was on the phone with them today, and they were able to read to me the payments that were received in March when they were processed. So there was 3 payments that were not showing up when we ran the report on our end, but on their end, they were able to notify me of who paid what and when. So that's something that I asked Gregory, if maybe we can do a conference call with him to see how we can fix that, because if the report comes back wrong, then there's no way for me to know what payments have been made. So that is definitely something that I'll work with them and whichever board member who's the signer on the account.
Yeah, let's do a
Tiffany,
conference call
thank you
with
so
them.
much. Guys, I'm so sorry. I need to interrupt. The tow just arrived. And whenever I'm in the car, I will connect again. Okay? Sorry.
Okay.
I need to disconnect. Okay, thank you.
So Tiffany, let's set up a conference call with the bank to
Mhm.
understand what has gone wrong on that side.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's move forward. Actually, let's move backward. Approval of minutes from 2/27. We had received those from Alfredo. I
didn't have a chance to see them, I'll be honest.
Okay. I read them, they were good. Brian, you good?
I'm good with the minutes from last meeting, yeah.
Okay, approved, so those can be finalized. Property managers report, Tiffany.
Yes, so I sent the updates on the current special assessment payments. I went into every single account individually to make sure that the payment for the special assessment is actually being applied to the special assessment and vice versa for the associations. So every single account I did check one by one, and there were three. Now it shows that there's, of those three delinquent owners, one of them paid, so there are actually only two left, and neither one of those had made. And if I can remember correctly, the letter we sent said you must pay this by the 15th of the month, so or the late fees will be applied. It wasn't on the 10th. We'd given them to the 15th of this month. So that everything is allocated correctly, and in each account everything is allocated correctly. And for the special assessment payments, I had sent the board a breakdown of the people who are paying in installments and then the people who haven't paid anything, as well as there's three owners in our records who have paid in full. I know that 24 and 27 have said that they have sent checks. I think 27 said he sent it to the PO box. We've checked the PO box and there's no checks in there from him for the special assessment. So I'm going to reach out to him and see if he can, confirm that those checks were mailed to the right place, or confirm if they've been deposited and taken out of his bank account. So that's something I can work with him on. But did you receive the breakdown of those special assessment payments?
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly, I glanced through it. I won't say I would remember by name each unit that is paid, but I did see that you did say there were multiple unit owners who said they paid in full, but you only have evidence of two.
Three. I have evidence of three. Yes.
And it was two who said they paid, but
we don't have
record of that. So if you could follow up with them, that would be appreciated. And to make sure that that loop is closed. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And the status of the letters we spoke about, those were already sent. Unit 23 and 41 were pending because wording you guys wanted to update some wording on those. And last time we spoke in regards to, I think, 23, which was the issue with the mats being taken from the gym, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so then the last we spoke about, I think it was Alan who said, well, the mats were already returned, so why are we going to send them a letter or not? So 41 and 23 were the only pending letters. Everything, the notice of pending payment, which were the unit owners who only owed a small amount to bring their account up to date, which was 13, 20, and 35. Those letters were sent out to them. So there was the only two letters that were pending were 23 and 41, which was the parking issue and
I've looked the last few days-ish, and I haven't seen that car parked there anymore. Have you? At night? Oh, okay.
What we said is that we're going to send a letter to establish that that's not a parking spot and doesn't belong to that unit, period. Just to establish on the record, that's what it is.
We sent last week.
Yeah, but she sent it to us and we did not follow up.
Yeah, I just needed approval.
On the merit, and we already sent okay, but I don't know why still the draft.
I think if I remember the conversation last week, it was soften the tone while still making clear
that is not belongs to
But the
him in
last
any way.
part that she's saying was okay, already modified, we'll say okay, I understand.
Okay, Tiffany, I'll go back and read it tonight and
Let's send it.
and send it out, but I'll just review it real quick.
Okay.
23.
Hold on, Tiffany. And just before I forget, if you can resend those, because there's been a lot of emails, then they will come back to the top. Thank you.
Okay. I'll
So
Tiffany,
23.
Tiffany, can you mention about my security deposit, please?
Yes, I'm gonna speak about that now. So we were able to find the 3 security deposit checks for Angela. We already emailed her, or not emailed, we mailed her one of the checks. The other 2 checks are inside the security deposit account in Valley Bank. So we need the approval of the board to release those funds to her.
Okay.
So
And
just if the
they
board,
were all deposited?
two of the checks were deposited. One was not, which we physically had at the office, and we already mailed that to her.
Okay, so
What's the total?
I was 1,600 and 550. So
2,100-ish?
1150. I'm sorry, 2150, yeah. 2150, it's 1,600 plus 550. So 2150 is owed to her.
Yeah, if they were deposited and you have evidence
Yes.
of that, then release it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we have, yeah, we have evidence of it. It's inside of the security deposit account.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last item was the status of the distribution of 2024 budget and communications. So the last pending item was the reserve contribution, which I emailed to the board, and it's to the proposed 2024 reserve contribution. I noticed on your budget, you don't have a line item for a reserve contribution. And then I looked back in your previous meetings, it looks like you guys did your budget meeting during the annual meetings. Does that sound correct to you?
yes.
Okay, so
year.
which that is correct, because I was looking in your condo docs and it specifically says the budget meeting should occur at the annual meeting at the end of December. So I don't, that obviously didn't happen this past year, but the only thing we're missing now, are you guys intending to waive reserves entirely?
Yeah.
Okay, so then all I have to do is just create the proxy, which will be added to the budget meeting notice that is going to be sent out to all unit owners. And it's going to be a proxy to fully waive the reserve contribution. And that will take care of the budget.
But the owners need to vote on that, no? That's not something that they need to vote if they want reserve or not?
They have to, yeah, they have to check a little box that says waive reserves. So that'll be in the proxy. It's the same notice that I looked in your past meetings, and it's the same every year. You guys waive your reserves every year with that proxy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can send that over, the proxy over with the budget meeting notice and the budget to you guys one last time. And then if you guys approve it, we can mail it out tomorrow. Well, we have to mail it out tomorrow so that your budget meeting can happen 14 days later.
The agenda is actually posted since Monday.
Okay, Alfredo said the agenda is posted since Monday. So yeah, send that, we'll sign off and it will be mailed tomorrow.
There's a line item, I just remember that it's not there, which is the flow camera service costs, I think, 2,500 a year.
That's nothing to do with that. It's only for the budget. That this meeting is only for the budget that is posted.
Yeah, but on the budget, we have to have that
Account for it.
accounted for.
It might be in operational.
Well, same with the.
I don't think it's anywhere because we still did not pay the yearly fee.
Same
We're
with the.
restarting now, it's a new service.
Well, let's ask Joao and see what he thinks about it.
Yeah, because if it's not accounted for, then,
It should be.
yeah. Yeah, send that through. We have a little, question on our side on a, itemized element, but we can, finalize that with our board.
That cannot be later.
No. Correct.
So whatever changes we're gonna do to the agenda, we can actually do it the same day. I mean, the agenda is already posted for that day. So
Okay.
No, I'm not saying delays, but she's sending the physical budget that we propose, no?
Yeah, you send the actual
Yes,
budget.
yeah.
So people
Yeah,
need to
so
get the
what-
budget we want to approve.
Correct. So what I'm sending, if everything gets approved, let's say tomorrow morning, you guys approve it, by the afternoon, I will post in Buildium the budget meeting notice, the budget, actual budget, the proposed 2024 budget, the fees per unit, and the proxy. That's gonna be posted in Buildium, but it's also physically gonna be mailed to every unit owner. So they have 14 days to review it prior to the meeting.
Okay, excellent.
But you have to communicate that to draw in order for them to.
We'll communicate that.
Yeah, and when if he hops back on, iPhone 149 is in the lobby. Yeah,
You can remove the waiting room so people come in directly.
okay. All right, next thing.
I had one more thing. Angela had sent a few emails to the board and she had sent them to me and pictures, asking the board what their decision is in regards to reimbursing her for the 2 months that she didn't have a tenant. I think it was like around $10,000, as well as other repairs that she did. So she has been asking, what is the board's decision on that? I don't know if you guys had made a decision or if you're still working on that.
So the board is in the middle of a process which we have communicated various times. We have an engineering company who's gone into each unit. And they are working on elements of damage and other things. And I saw Angela did send some pictures through, which looked like they were recent pictures when they were repairing the drywall. But we are finalizing the process with the engineer to have a full equitable process through the whole community for people who've been impacted by water intrusion. The board is, I mean, in terms of the payment for lost revenue, that is not board's responsibility, nor the association's responsibility.
Okay, can I say something? I lost the tenant because he was shown an asbestos test that by a company that was hired by the association.
Okay, I mean, when there was the immediate damage, I remember talking to him that weekend, and he was saying, regardless, he's out by that Wednesday because of the flooding.
Yeah, but he was gonna be staying.
Not because of the asbestos.
No, he moved out because he said that he couldn't have repairs if there is asbestos in the property. He was willing to stay and me repairing the house, but then when they show him the asbestos, he wouldn't stay. He said, I cannot have construction while it's at, I said, let me run a second test. And that's when Orlando kept telling me that the test was gonna be done next week. And at the end, it was done after a month. He was gone.
Sorry, let me just clarify one thing. All these asbestos occurred before this board, and we needed to confirm the asbestos with the new company. The process needed to be conducted. We conducted. There was then, and so right now the board, it's the same thing with many unit owners that had losses regarding the flooding and water intrusion. We are doing an investigation with NV5, which is a forensic engineer that is doing the assessment. Let me tell you, in my opinion, and I will always recommend this to the board, we are not going to decide anything regarding any of these topics without any report made by NV5 about what are the damages that needs to be insured by the condominium and what are the costs that need to go on the other side. And obviously, besides of these, there is an attorney to defend the rights of the 41, and there will be obviously attorneys that defend the rights of the unit owners individually. But that after the damage we have laid last year, it's important to understand we are now defending the rights of the 41 units and going through a very rigorous process to identify which are the responsibilities that fall under the 41 and the responsibilities that fall under each one of the unit owners, and then obviously fighting for the 41 to be repaid from part of these damages from wherever we're going to find out that are responsible for the huge impact that this community has. But right now, we are not able to do any, in my recommendation to the board, any type of decision regarding this topic.
And I don't know if you hopped on the first part, but that's what I was saying. We're in the middle of a process right now, and we need to wait for that report to come in.
Oh, yes, perfect, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand that, but you just said something that regardless he was gonna move out, and that's not right. He was not gonna move out until he was shown the asbestos test. And this test was done by a company that was hired by the association, and I was promised a second asbestos test by the following week, which never happened until a month later. It basically took a month to do a second asbestos test. My house got mold because I couldn't do anything waiting for your asbestos test. And now I pay out of my pocket for the mold, for the fixing, for everything. And now I'm gonna have to sell my house because I have all this debt because my situation wasn't addressed on time.
Well, one thing that we can only recommend to what we've said to the other homeowners is through private insurance. If you have renter, typically in homeowners insurance or something, there's stipulation that you can have lost revenue coverage based on incidents like this. Brian, were you going to say something?
Essentially what you were just going to say. So nope, I'm good.
Okay.
That's totally accurate.
Next item is we've received a letter from the attorney from Fort Dallas Truss Co. For those of you on the line, I'll just do a quick recap. Fort Dallas Truss Co. is the company that manufactured the trusses or the mansards. It's wood trusses in buildings 2 and 3. This is also the same company, Fort Dallas Truss, that has put a lien on our community, demanding payment. In that we are figuring out, our lawyers figuring out whether process was followed correctly from Fort Dallas. And all that to say is we will keep the community updated, but we wanted to notify the community that Fort Dallas Truss Company is demanding payment on stuff that we believe they were not even contracted to do. Essentially, they're asking for payments on buildings 1, 4, and Clubhouse from the prior contractor who had spoke with them, even though that prior contractor did not even have the contract for 1, 4, and Clubhouse.
On that topic, Tiffany, can you do can you ask Orlando and Sherry and anybody there if there's any letter sent to us by Fort Dallas? Specifically, we are looking for what's called notice to owner. Very important.
Notice to owner?
Notice
Yes.
To owner.
notice to owner. So any
Sent by-
communication, any physical letter,
Mhm.
please physically look for it, if you don't mind. We
Mhm.
really need that. It's crucial.
From Fort Dallas, you said?
For
Yes.
Fort Dallas, yes.
Okay. I will do that.
Okay, I'm going to combine the next couple points. And Alfredo, if that will tie into Dura last inspection. Can you talk about that? Or, okay. So updates on construction damages to units, updates on roofing contractor, Dura last materials inspection. So those three things together. So I don't know if everyone here is not able to attend every meeting. So let me just respond by saying we have sent a termination letter to the prior contractor demanding, again, we had sent a letter before that demanding evidence of insurance, of license, and other elements. They did not satisfy that request. And therefore, we sent after that deadline, in fact, probably a week after that deadline, giving them ample time to respond. They did not satisfy that, so therefore we sent a termination letter to them through our attorney. All that to say is on the flip side to that, as the board knew terminating that contractor, that we would need to operate quickly, but with high quality and keeping cost in mind, and looking at how do we transition to the next potential licensed and contracted roofer. In that NV5, which is also doing the forensic analysis of the water damage. Like I said, they inspected all the water intrusion impacted units. They are following that up with and followed that up with a physical and technical inspection of the mansards and roof and looking at those connection points to come up with a finding. And so that report is being worked on right now. I don't have the ability to say their findings, but the other element that they, NV5, being a diversified forensic engineering company, association and owner representative company, we spoke with them about partnering with us to devise a very solid RFP process that protects Leeward Point, that specifies very clearly what is needed, and looking at that and going forward there. What some of the discussions the board has had, just so for you homeowners to hear, is obviously we know the mansards in 2 and 3 are exposed. So what steps do we take? Do we include that in the RFP, or do we do that separate and just seal those up as quickly as possible? We are discussing all this with NV5, and then the RFP process is either temporarily ensure that the mansards are sealed, or finalize the mansards, and then also looking at buildings 2 and 3, the roof on those, and then the mansard and roofs on 1, 4, and Clubhouse. One of the things that we will try to build into the RFP is just not a total 100% automatic replacing of the mansards of 1, 4, and Clubhouse, but doing an exploratory, tried to combine two words there, exploratory process to view the mansards and see if there's sufficient amount of mansards that can be repaired versus replacing the whole lot. As you all may know, and that's basically looking at where the city was here, the prior contractor and prior board. There were issues on the mansards on 2 and 3, but we do not want to assume those same issues on buildings 1, 4, and Clubhouse, because that's also where the price skyrocketed in terms of the overall project cost. So if we can minimize costs while still holding the quality, we believe that we can do that through exploratory process of the mansards there. In that, the manufacturer for the materials, Duralast, that has been in our parking lot since December 2022. I learned that date today, December 22. They were ordered about 6 months prior to that. Gentleman from Duralast came out, and because he cannot engage directly with us, there was a different contractor there present to be able to allow the conversation to happen. It was not the prior contractor, it was someone independent. As we looked, members of the board were present as well. As we looked at the materials, we had a long discussion. We notified, okay, the styrofoam, I'm not going to use the technical terms, the adhesive, the laminate, and the concrete boards, all of those are different elements. And then the supplies like screws and accessories and other things. So there's those different components. He had to make some calls to the engineering department in his company to see, after taking pictures and sending it to him, is this a reality that these materials can be salvaged? We do not have the final answer there. And so we take this with a grain of salt and a little bit of optimism. But after he made the calls and came back, he said, this is not guaranteed. This is not the final answer. So I say that again to the homeowners here. But there is a possibility that the majority of the materials can be salvaged, can potentially be used without limiting the warranty or quality that would be used in putting these on buildings 2 and 3. An asterisk in that is typically the warranty starts delivery, and typically right after delivery, 6 months, you have installation. So most normal roofing things, the warranty essentially starts when it's installed, because delivery and installation happens back to back. In our case, the issue that we will run into is we would still get the full 20-year warranty. However, we are already in that warranty because that starts 6 months after delivery date. So December 22, they were delivered, give or take, let's say June 23, we're 7-8 months-ish into the 20-year warranty. Again, this is all still a work in progress. None of those statements are finalized or certain, but we find it important to notify homeowners sort of the action steps that the board has taken and sort of the news that we have received from the different vendors relating to this project. Anything to add to that? Okay. So we hope to receive at least final confirmation from Duralast as soon as possible, because there's a couple options then that the board excuse me, would need to make. There's a question mark about, obviously, the city has the permits. And there's a master permit, but there's also specific permits for buildings 2 and 3. And that is in relation to who is the contractor, that is in relation to equipment and materials utilized and other factors. If we are to change the contractor, we would need to notify the city. That process is not very complicated. Additionally, we would, at this point, still need to use Duralast on buildings 2 and 3 because those specific permits were pulled for that element. In the future, if we were to look and say in the RFP process, quote us the cost for Duralast, which is currently what we were planning on using, and potentially, not for certain, but potentially quote an RFP for something else. Alternate materials. That is a possibility that we can go to where we believe that we could save some money. The warranty might not be the full 20 years. There's pros and cons to that, i.e., for instance, the whole association would not need to undergo in 15, 20 years from now, replacing all 5 roofs, but it could be staggered, which would mean the cost of the association would not always be instantaneously as high. This is all hypothetical at this point. Nothing is certain, but one of the things that we are looking at is if we utilize Duralast on 2 and 3, are there options available to us for buildings 1, 4, and Clubhouse? That decision has not been made. That RFP has not been finalized, but that is the process we are going through right now. Any questions on that?
Robert, I see a hand raised by Natalie.
Yes, are we allowed non-board board members to ask a question?
Yeah, ask your question, Natalie.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that this meeting was mainly a board meeting. So my question is, good job on getting rid of that contractor, obviously, because for obvious reasons. But my concern is, when getting rid of him, does that incur like the work that they already did? Would the city make us redo it, or was there any money lost? Like, you know, what did the old board, I guess my question would be, did the old board overpay that contractor for the amount of work that they have done to this point?
Great question. Joao, do you want to answer that?
Yes, Natalie, you can see in the first treasurer report the exact amount of money that we could see being paid for the roofs 2 and 3. So if you go to that report, which by the way was very well added to the minutes by Alfredo, you can see that more than, I would say, $650,000 have been paid. So at the end of the day, I would say that for sure there was overpayment regarding what we already have in place. So
yeah,
it's if you say in terms of definitely. So and that means, and to be always in the hypothetical that Robert is talking, whenever we go through that RFP process to close buildings 2 and 3, and also to guarantee 1 and 4 in Clubhouse, we have to be careful in 2 things. First of all, guarantee that we have the best quality at the best price, which my personal opinion is that we didn't get these on the past, and maybe we're going to get lower prices for 1, 4 in Clubhouse. And also we need to adjust everything or bring everything that we can bring in. And by the way, this was very good news because I couldn't be at the meeting this morning when Duralast is saying that most probably we can use these materials to reduce the cost to close 2 and 3. So what I'm trying to say is that probably we're going to incur a little bit more cost in 2 and 3, which will be probably very similar for the money we still had to pay if Absolute Pro would close the work. But then we are expecting to save money on 1, 4 in Clubhouse, especially in things like, are we going to go, like Robert was saying, to Duralast, and for example, for 1 and 4, then the big question about the masters, are we going to replace all of not? And let's put now a really independent entity to evaluate that and get us a very good assessment. So I would say yes to your question, and that's why we need to be so careful how are we going to address the next stage to try to minimize and to get, it's like the race started against ourselves, so now let's run a little bit faster so we can, in fact, save in 1.4 in Clubhouse.
Okay, and then my last question, and I'm sorry if you guys have already discussed this in another meeting or now, and maybe I missed it, but have you guys already identified, or I guess I'm guessing you guys are already searching, but have you already identified a new roofing contractor where we would have an idea of when, you know, those of us who have existing open roofs, you know, I know you can't give us a for sure timeline, but if somebody has already been identified, or if you guys are in the process, just to have an idea of, I'm asking because I have half of my outdoor furniture still inside my home, just to have an idea of when, you know, the roof may hopefully potentially be able to get done.
Okay, let me answer that for you. So the idea right now, today we actually had an independent roofer come together with Duralast, and we actually asked exactly that. We wanted him to give us a quote just to close the monsters of 2 and 3 as fast as possible. So he said that he's going to come tomorrow or after tomorrow, take new measurements, and I prefer that he does it himself and not from what we provide him. And then he's going to provide us with a quote for that. Obviously, we want to try to contract everything, but we are also aware of the fact of the time that it might be complicated to do an RFP and get the bids and all that, and the time passes and passes, and then your roof is still open. So we are looking at that option of actually getting somebody to already start and close those monsters, and at the same time get the bids to finish the flat roof on 2, 3 and do everything in 1.4 Clubhouse. And from what 2 roofers already told us, in order to close, back to seal and finish the mansard, to put the shingles, it's about 2 weeks, more or less, from the moment they start. And then they have to do the stucco on the bottom, but that's already, when they do that, the important thing is to put the shingles and seal. So that's already kind of, you know, almost closed or sealed completely. So yeah,
so it's possible it could be hopefully done before the summer, before the rain months start.
That's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
Yes. That's our concern, and we do have it on top of mind all the time. We are aware that we are running against time here, and our priority is to make sure that, you know, 2 and 3, building 2 and 3 are secured. So definitely we have that in mind.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
And Natalie, let me just add that one of the concerns we are expressing to NV5, which is the engineering company that is helping us through this process, is that before the stage 1, which is the RFP stage, we need to have clarity exactly on what Alan is saying, is that are we moving to a 1 bid process, which is like a conditional going through, but it starts with the masters, then roofing 1, 2, and 3, and then the sides, or are we going for 2 bid process, which is closing 2 and 3 buildings, and then we go for 1.4, or we go for 3, which is, or we do a masters, then we do 2 and 3, and then we go. And we are also expecting from NV5 clarity and involvement of the community, because one of the critical things for us is, like Robert said before, is to balance a triangle between price, between quality and time. And quality has also to do with the transparency of the bidding process, and also involving the community on this bidding process. So to be completely democratic associated with this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so that on that, Alfredo, you want to maintenance and 50-year?
Well, for 50-year recertification update, today we have a meeting with the electrical engineer from NV5, and pretty much we visit the whole site. They were interested just to check on the electrical rooms, the emergency system, the swimming pool pump, electrical panels, AC units, and they already, you know, like took some pictures. There's going to be another event, hopefully next week, where they're going to access to the roof, because they need to check the electrical installation of the lighting, and also on all of the AC units of the unit owners, and see if everything is according to, you know, code and compliance. So they are going to also come to the site at night because they need to look on the illumination, site illumination, and they're going to provide the photometrics. We already provide the photometrics on the 40 years, but they say that it's not going to work, so they need to actually pull their own thing. And the new item for this 50-year certification is what they call the thermography inspection. Means that somebody who is being subcontract from MB5, or we can actually subcontract, is a technician that comes with a special equipment, and he actually measures the radiance, the heat of the electrical panel whilst all the lights are on. So, and this is a requirement for the 50 years certification. So we need to actually talk with basically Jason and his team and see if they actually can provide 2 referrals and one person that actually do the job for them. He's going to refer the number, but this is going to be up to the association, and it's going to be a separate contract. Yeah. So that for the inspection today, they will pull out the report. As far as the construction going on building 2 and 3, they say that for the purpose of submission, because we are already almost 3 weeks to submit the report to the city, they say that they will provide the overall report, no matter what the 2 buildings are going to be failed, because we cannot prove that. But at the city, we will reissue, and there were no penalty because they know that there's a construction ongoing. So for that reason, he said, well, I'm going to explain in that report, and this is going to be clarified in order for you guys to keep, follow on that. So as far as the maintenance is concerned, I think that we already talked about the tree trimming, that we did it for the insurance purpose. We finished the painting at the entrance on the floor. We are going to schedule the pressure cleaner on the tennis court because it's completely, like mildew, and it has some residuals of glass. So Carlos is going to do this next following week. The sidewalk, people are asking me, oh, when are you going to paint the sidewalk? I think that we're going to hold into the sidewalk because after we get the roof done, we are going to paint the sidewalk all around this, around the unit, way until it's done. So for that, we're going to hold on that, but we're going to actually work on cleaning and painting the electrical rooms, which needs to actually be, like completely perfect when the city comes with a final inspection. So AC unit on the gym, we had the notification from one of the unit owners that it wasn't working. So in fact, we actually tested that the capacitor of the condenser unit wasn't working. So he replaced, and the total cost was $160. I think was good for the price. He also checked the other 2 units, the unit that feeds the meeting room, which is the large one. And he said that this one needs coil cleaning. And for that, he passed an estimate of $510 for cleaning the coil in this unit and do the maintenance service for both. Means flushing, changing the pressure, the test, the freon, if it's required, for that price. And he actually said, and I don't know if you guys read it on the bottom, he actually made the recommendation that this equipment, since they are commercial, needed a maintenance of at least twice a year, so every 6 months. And if we go to the service, the annual service, so they can actually give us a good price. So $160 for service. And I think that for equipment. Per unit, yes, for service, but for the per service.
Okay, so every time they come, it's
300. It is going to be 300 and something because it's 2 units, 2 condensers, 2 air handle units.
So it's $320 every time they come.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and that is
for service. If it's cleaning coil, he said that it's going to actually cost because they need to actually disassemble the unit, clean the coil, but this is happening every 2 years. So for that, at least he already acknowledged. But for the general maintenance, that's going to be the price. And I think that it's really good.
So the 320, what does it include?
The general maintenance, which is the flush of the line, check the pressure, do testing on the electrical components. They need to, what else? Check the freon, the gas, if there's no leakage, and pretty much it.
Yeah, maybe,
Okay, maybe get one more quote then.
well, yeah, maybe not even, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, maybe not every 6 months, but every 8-9 months, or something like that.
We can actually schedule a year, but I mean, since he actually made the recommendation, it's not like we need to follow, but we need to be conscious that this is a commercial area and there's people that are using, a lot, especially on the gym, which is a more, more usage.
And by the way, do we have filters, and are they being changed periodically?
The filters are already changed by Carlos. I think that we are running out, like we have basically like 2 or 4 as a maximum. We have 2 different units and 2 different sizes. I remember that previous board, they have already purchased item through Amazon. So they already, request them from there. So I asked Alberto, which is the one that I was, looking at this item. So he's going to give me the specific dimensions of the filter for me to order, because he's been actually, he was doing it before, so we can continue and order the filter. I think that it's not cost. Yeah, every month we need to change in order to keep the equipment, working. So I will let you know. And so far, the treadmill. I also, because the complaint was from the Cabalas. They were using the facility and they noticed the air and also the treadmill. I checked the treadmill myself. I sent you guys a video, me trying that, and I didn't see anything, like that. And I spoke with Imi's husband, Chime, and I showed the video where the treadmill is going. So far, the complaint, it's already addressed. So everything is working, and that's the end of it.
And any news on the camera as well?
No. It is really weird that these people hasn't come to me yet. And at Asia, well, there is a communication that they were supposed to follow, and for some reason they haven't get back to us. They haven't, sent any email, and for some reason there's like a pause that we don't know exactly, what's going on. I actually asked you last week about the contract, because we supposed to have the physical contract in order for us to establish first what we talk about the solar panel equipment, which is, I don't think that there is any inconvenience to use that. And the reason why we have a temporary permit on the city and we have no.
And so.
At what time do you send me the email?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Okay, I don't have that email and I cannot read it, last minute.
No, okay.
Okay.
But so I have the contract was signed by Mark on DocuSign. I don't have it.
Okay, well, tell him, that's what I told you last week. Talk to Mark Antonio, ask for the DocuSign, and let's see the contract.
But also we don't have it on the Leeward point email. Okay. Now, regarding the permit, that pole is installed outside our property. So the permit was issued by as a right-of-way permit by not necessarily the normal building and the way we normally do it, but by the utilities of the city. And it's a different type of and I sent you by the way, the permit application that they filed. Regarding the solar thing, again, I have an email, everything, all that was evaluated by them. They are the professionals who was evaluating the option of solar, and they went against it because the position of the sun goes more towards south, there's a tree there, and that was the reason why solar was not an option. So I don't know why you want to continue arguing.
Okay, well, there is a situation where we don't have a permit clause from the city, and that's exactly one of the steps that actually, you know, take us back. And Johan was saying to me clearly that unless the permit is already closed and if everything is completely clear, so he can actually proceed on that. We don't have any problem on that, but I need to look further on the documentation. Until I get all the papers on my hands and I review everything and I actually make sure that we are in compliance, we don't have any problems. The camera could be installed, solar, electrical, but we need to have a clear understanding about how we manage this information. Remember, this board is about clarity and transparency, right? And we don't want to do anything cut in the corner. So we need to actually make sure, because our sign, our names are going to be there. And I'm not going to be endorsed something that I don't know. And if this person did with you because you were the team leader of this project, so you should actually have the document. So you should actually be more proactive on getting the contract instead of giving all these, you know, like narrative of whatever.
So
I need to have the paper, Alan. I need to have the paper. And I'm not screaming, but I'm saying that we actually got into a sterile conversation where you're trying to combine.
You want the contract, right?
I need the contract to understand exactly why the permit is not closed on the city, and for me to give process and procedures to the electrical technician in order for them to actually do the appropriate permit. And we also need to understand why we spend this money with this equipment where on the minutes they are saying something else. Anna, do me a favor, just give me the contract, just give me the contract.
How am I going to give the contract? Let me speak.
Okay.
Please. How am I going to give you the contract?
Did I told you to call Marc Antonio?
First of all, you don't instruct me what to do. So
You neither.
change your language.
But you neither.
Now.
You neither, because I'm the secretary. So, you know, that's one of the points.
I was not on the board when that was done at all. I was never on the board. Let me finish. I was doing it as a volunteer outside of the board.
Do you want to?
Let me finish. Helping the board.
Do you want to see the meeting minutes on the 23rd? Go ahead and do it. And tell me exactly. It says that you were working with Marc Antonio and you were completely having the whole access to this since you were the so-called technical guy and you were authorized. So, I mean, there's not a problem. Okay, but the point, the point here is that lower the voice. Okay.
So why did you get involved? If I was living it, and I know everything from the beginning.
Because I do.
Why did you get involved?
Because I was actually working with the electrical guy and I was actually doing all this follow-up. Why? What is the problem?
This has nothing to do with that.
Gentlemen,
But if everything is clear, why all these
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Can I suggest to take this topic a little bit offline, because we are just escalating. So I would recommend to take this a little bit offline and then we come back. Sorry, because I hear a lot of escalation here. If you agree.
The minutes. Second of all, you know, you don't need to actually keep instigating on something that I actually give you proper responses, and you already proved in front of everyone that the company hasn't been able to give any response. So the proof of everything that I'm requesting, you need to read emails.
So here's what I'll do. I'll ask Marc Antonio if he has the contract. And then we will go from there. I think at the end of the day, I saw your email today with the permit application. It was clear and I saw a right of way. And so in that aspect, it was filed, you know, whatever you call that. And if the city just needs to close the loop on that, then, you know, that's them. If Flock is responsible for securing the permit, then that's on them.
You know, and which are the ones that pull out that, but that process is not clear. So if it's not clear, I cannot give you any clarity until I have it resolved.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that this cannot be resolved, because everything that I actually put in the table, I resolve. But there's something in the middle that is stopping me from getting on. I don't say you, I say that I need to have the proper elements and the proper documentation in order for me to get my job.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me what to do with the job. And I have the same right as you to get involved into this situation, into this project. For me, it's not a big deal.
So
I know how to actually put it so that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm taking the lead on this project, so you need to hold on to that, because that wasn't really close, period. End of the conversation.
Once
Once
you get involved, I don't. Once you get involved, I don't.
Yeah, so
that's exactly what it is.
and I think that's the transition that has happened. You take the lead, so we get contract from Mark, and then we go from there. I have two items that I came up with yesterday. I arrived back from work, walk in, and I saw a couple neighbors talking, and they showed me let me get the number right, the balcony on 41, where the
Oh, yeah, that it's cheap.
and it's kind of,
Yeah, the stucco fell
Yeah.
from
So-
the yeah.
so that is from how I see it, again, not a construction specialist, but that looks like common area element
Yeah,
that
needs to be fixed.
needs to be fixed. I mean, and really I think it's more than just putty there. It looks like it's coming loose.
Yeah, we need a cement specialist or some kind of a specialist.
So is that Tiff, do we go through Primex on that?
We can ask Primex, but Orlando already said about it, that's a serious issue. It's not
Okay.
just somebody comes and puts some stuck on, that's it. We need to hire a company that specializes in that type of restoration.
I think if I recall correctly, there was a study on the balconies set, because we know that the moisture that is on the bottom of the slabs on all the balconies are already, like present, some sign of deterioration. But we need to understand each case, because we have different approach and different the position of every unit owner.
So balcony, that one is one. The second part is the light that hangs down on the front door.
Yeah.
Is that common area element?
That was it.
Unless owner has renovated it over the years, but.
That's not original structure.
So original structure, if that's not, and by the way, mine has never worked, but I was waiting to
Unless
do
it was
something
changed,
bigger.
unless it was changed by the unit
Yeah.
owner.
Mine looks original.
He's going to remodel it. He's going to change.
And so,
He actually changed it.
and I looked at it.
I understand exactly what's going on, because I had the same issue with a previous board that refused to take action on fixing my light fixture and instead enclosed the area where the light was. And that was
Like
actually a
box?
Florida code.
I got the same situation.
Violation.
I took the line and I did mine and I paid for it and I. So I think Gregory is gonna do exactly the same thing. He's gonna take that land.
He didn't say that he wants to do what he is saying.
Yeah, right.
I spoke to him and he asked me for friendly legal advice, and I understand very much so about that.
So, and
So
so
there's
here's
no
my
way to
question,
say-
right, I get it. My
can't say
question
that.
is, if an owner isn't planning on renovating and that light
You have to.
fixture isn't working, that our responsibility?
Yes.
If it's the original, it's our responsibility.
Okay,
It's in the bylaws.
So-
it's in the deck.
We know.
in
Yeah,
that,
but I mean, you're not supposed to change and
You
do
have to
a
change it
different,
to
no.
the original
You can
structure.
actually replace, there's pieces that you can replace to maintain the consistency of what the original piece is. It's not like, okay, I need a new lamp and you want to break.
exactly.
In the case of Marcela, she doesn't want to, they got it and you need to cap it, and that's exactly the end of it.
That's
Unless,
not what happened with mine. What happened was that they didn't want to change the light. They didn't want to fix it even though it was hanging. And so I said, that's a liability issue.
Right.
And the same thing is happening there. So I advised him for his own safety. So the association also avoids negligence, because it seems like as if you guys like to ignore a lot of things until somebody gets really upset. Like for me, 3 years now with the balcony issue, which, by the way, I just want to understand, if you guys are not, according to page 2 of the engineering report, in code, you're in violation of the code, because the bars, which were last altered by the association, the railing, not by us, but by the association, if it's not in compliance with the code, then you have to change the rail. It's not even an issue to, oh, here, look at this document. No, you're just responsible. And I don't know who you're getting legal advice from, but that's completely incorrect. You can't circumvent the statute or the bylaws.
Well, we sure wouldn't want to do that. And so in that, in terms of the balcony, you know, if their balcony, that seems, that could be a risk, because that stuff was.
You're talking about now, Gregory's.
41.
Yeah, that is,
Yeah.
hire a company that specializes in that.
Because if rain, I could see how rain would just drip down, go underneath, and if it goes further and
Yeah,
that
needs to be-
loosens.
That has to be referred to.
It's a liability.
Yeah.
And it's a concrete slab, which according to the statute, you guys are responsible for. It's a limited common area.
Right, that's what we said.
And so there's spalding that's occurring in that area. Yeah, that's why pieces are falling off. The same happens to all the units that are here that have loose rails where water can penetrate in, and then you're causing a future liability that's much more expensive to remedy, because the concrete itself, those slabs, you know, they're gonna keep getting exposed. Like, for example, the engineer who just came, I guess it was last year sometime, but she opened up our tiles, broke our tiles, left everything exposed. So every time it rains, a puddle begins to occur in all those plank areas where the rails are. So I don't know how much damage is occurring, but the minute there was a loose rail, I said, hey, that's a negligence issue.
Yeah, and so,
Somebody needs to tighten it.
right, and you know, 3 years on, it sounds like we're making more traction than
Well, no,
in those
actually, what
last
happened
2
was
years.
years ago, which he was a part of that whole mess. He anointed himself instead of the engineer coming. He said, I am going to show up at your house, came into my patio, and I authorized him to, because I've never denied access. The unit has always given access, which there's case law on that, how like you don't give access, but we've never been like that. We've always been like, sure,
Right.
fix the problem. So what does he do? He comes up there and he goes, this rail is not the original rail, therefore it's been altered, therefore nothing's covered. Guess what happened? I have it in writing from Mark, and a correspondence between me and Mark and Orlando, where he specifically states in writing that the association changed the rail. They changed it, they don't remember when, but they know that our unit was changed. So we've never changed the rail. It's, you know, whatever the association has done, therefore, we're not responsible for it.
Right, and that goes back to what we discussed last week in the agreement that we made.
Right, but you're shifting the burden upon the unit owner when it's really the association's job to get an estimate, not the unit owner. It's just plain fair. Because you look at what your responsibility is as a unit owner, and you look at what your responsibility is as an association, and you play fair. But unfortunately, 3 boards ago, or 2 boards ago, when it was Alberto, him and Alberto decided they were just not gonna like allow for me to have the balcony fixed, which happens to be, no, wait, I'm not done, you can talk when I'm done. Then you get further negligence damages to the actual concrete slab as water comes in and penetrates that slab of concrete. They wanted to do their thing, okay? And I was very patient. I didn't file a suit. I didn't do anything. I didn't report the balcony to the North Miami Beach Code Enforcement, which I'm friends with the supervisor. You know what? I've been really, really patient. But at this point, because they were playing games, that's what they do. And then the next board said, you know what? We're going to send an engineer. It took forever. And it's just the wheels of time turning, and then it turns into 2 years. And then finally, when you guys transitioned, I helped count the votes, and I said, when you guys got elected, I said, please note that this has already been resolved by the previous board, that they said that they were going to fix the balcony, just like they have to fix every balcony that the rails are not in compliance with the code. That's just your responsibility, whether it be an assessment or whether it be you have to dish it out so that you mitigate damages on the balcony that's already damaged, so loose railing. So if mine comes first, then fix it first because you have to mitigate damages. That's the law.
So are you able and willing, because the question mark, 6 inches, 4 inches, I get that. That's clear. The question mark that was in that engineering report was the tiles that are there. So hypothetical, work with me. If the association would say, you know what, that balcony that the association replaced is now out of code.
Right.
But we also see that the tiles could have been an issue. Are you, if the
one has nothing to do with the other, and actually I read the engineer's report. It doesn't specifically state causation, and I can certainly have another engineer say the same thing, but on my side. That's what people do, but that's
right.
not
So there is no
truth.
truth.
No, there is a truth. The truth is that the rail needs to be changed regardless. So even if I went ahead and dished out money and said I'm going to plank this like
right
part of the
but
road,
no, but you're talking about the concrete slab. I'm talking about the concrete slab that you were talking about.
Right.
If those tiles were placed there and water is going underneath, that could cause damage to the concrete slab.
Going underneath as we speak every time it rains because they already lifted the tile.
Okay, so in there, it would not be wise from anyone to just solve that situation by replacing the railing.
Correct. It would be replacing the railing. That's all you need to do.
No,
But hold on, but according to what you just said, let's say we replace the railing.
Right.
Okay, we replace the railing.
Right.
But you just said that the tile is also exposed, which water is coming in.
Well,
So
the tile got exposed because in order for them to do their engineering report, they had to open up the tiles that surrounded the plane. So it's broken tiles now.
Okay, so
I'm not asking to be paid for those broken tiles.
I
will pay out of my own pocket to fix my tiles. I just want a safe rail so that nobody dies. And it's what you guys have to do. You have to put it in compliance because it's not in code. And if the city of North Miami Beach comes down here, they will begin to go to every single balcony and I can guide them.
fantastic.
by the way, I don't know when that code was passed, the 4-inch or 6-inch, but if that was done before the code changed, then it's still legal. Even though any new, like,
Okay, but anytime there has to be a change of something that's a limited common area, it's the responsibility of the association to bring it up to code.
well,
Unless it's been modified by the owner.
Unless it was
there is not
modified
a
by the-
modification, no. And by the way, the modification is to the rail, and the railing association modified. You understand? Like here,
I know
we
that.
have something in writing that shows that it was modified by the association.
Right, but also then that there's.
And nobody gets anything done, and this is really like, it's maddening, it's like the mad tea party with you people. It's like not just your board, it's every single board, and this is why my balcony still is unfixed. And when you guys got elected, the first thing I said was, this previous board already passed that they were gonna fix my balcony. So, that was the first thing I announced when they announced the new board after I helped count the votes. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, 'cause I don't want to sit here and go around in circles.
Did we check,
It's insanity.
by the way, did we check regarding if there was permit for the top?
It's like, what's the meaning of crazy? Doing the same thing over again.
Okay, gentlemen, anything else?
There is no permit for floor. I don't know exactly who got the idea that we need to actually have a permit. Until we get a solid report of the previous board that actually has 75% of all the railings done, because I haven't seen anything back then that talks about the project of the railing and what they have done, because for me, it doesn't keep and doesn't make any sense. I need to see papers, I need to see.
So there's no evidence that
No
the
evidence,
association.
no evidence. So for me, they need to actually be some way somehow, is that person is 100% certain, show paper.
Okay,
Tell us exactly what it is, because we are inheriting a burden from previous board that we shouldn't. We try to do as best we can.
and we'll take this conversation offline. I think it's a good time for that.
Last item,
Tennis court rules?
yes.
I did not. You want to talk about it?
Well, I think that I already sent that email and it's pretty much clear. I think that for refreshing everybody's mind, there is a system here where every single unit owner that has to do the access or wants to, play tennis on court, so needed to actually sign a waiver. And the waiver was for what reason? Because children's, I think less than 12 years needs to be accompanied with their parents, because that surface is really delicate and they can fall and so forth and so on. So second, I think that there's a rules that are already written on policy.
Saw that.
And we needed to pay $25 to get the access code in the logbox. And the main reason of the logbox is to keep vandalizing, to keep people coming into the property and using this installation. And I think that rules was clear at that point. So you already have the system.
Could we roll that out?
Yeah, so my point, I was actually in the locksmiths trying to buy the lockbox, but for some reason they don't have it available. That's
Amazon, it's like a realtor box, right?
Lockbox.
It's like a combination, because I believe that we used to have a combination.
Yeah, you
It's
can,
not the key, because
right.
Oh, you're saying a combination lock.
Yeah.
No, a
Which is
combination.
also a good idea, by the way. So by the idea, instead of having a lockbox, open the lockbox and then open with the key, then put the key back. What he's saying is just to do a bolt, like a lock that has
And forget the key.
and forget the key.
And forget it.
And just do it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Because that key will get lost.
Every unit owner has to go through like the thing. I don't have access to the unit because I still have no signed the waiver, but everybody who wants to, especially the ones that are more like tennis player, needs to sign the waiver, and then we can give them the combination and they can enter whenever they want, but sign the combination that the association is not liable if something happens under their usage. And we have the camera, and we can actually, like, see.
So we can put that lock and put the little sign there saying, hey, if you want to play, please you need to sign the waiver, send an email or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The last topic was Unit 29. John Boss. John Biden.
Yes.
This is basically communication. I was actually talking offline with God and saying we need to communicate people, because that gym rules is being violated several times, and we see people bringing pets on the gym, and that cannot be allowed. And it's not like I want to set that rule. That rule was set down a long time ago. So we need to amend the rule, put it on Primex website, and then Primex needs to remind all the unit owners of the rules and regulations. And I think that will be.
And they can send out an email to everyone.
Yeah.
Here's the Here's the rules as a reminder. Tiffany,
Yeah.
are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. And last meeting, I was asking if you guys have in the rules posted in the gym anywhere, because we can update that as well.
If we laminate that, post it inside as well, then people read that. It is, okay, it's already inside.
The
But it would
updated
need
one
to
that
be
has the no
updated,
pets
right?
allowed?
No, it actually says that. Well, we don't have the update, it's on the document.
Okay, but we could update the one that's posted, and so she can send it through email to everyone.
So no notification to 29.
Yeah, that was gross what the dog did.
I did clean. I actually, have to, do it because, it was obvious that nobody was there, and I did it. And it's bothersome because people have to have common sense.
Yeah.
Everybody's asking for the rights, but why it's my duty? Why is my...
Send the letter saying, but.
Tiffany, sorry, I didn't mean to dictate that to you, but if you can send a letter, Unit 29.
Unit 29?
He's checking real quick. We saw you had your pet in the gym. It defecated.
28.
28.
28.
28. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Make sure we get it right.
Does Alfredo happen to have
It's my friend.
incident report or any pictures or?
We have pictures.
Yeah, we have
Yeah, if I can have.
Can you send that to Tiffany, the picture?
Is that the same person who I complained to you about, Alfredo, that brought her dog to the gym?
Different.
Oh, even wonderful, more wonderful. This is why I told you guys to handle that and put it like posted inside of the gym on the wall so that these people who are lacking common sense know what to do.
Yeah.
That's what happened when we don't listen to you.
Fully agree.
I did it already.
Apparently so. I helped to draft the pool rules and other rules in the past, so I guess you guys still need help.
No, and I love an engaged community. So,
Communication.
yeah, and I think what Alfredo was just saying, communication is important. And so, anything we can do to improve the normalcy, the hospitality and friendliness of this community, we want to do that while still being required to enforce rules and regulations. Sometimes that's hard to do, but we're trying our best.
Well, hopefully you guys will try your best and not be a retaliatory board like the previous boards.
No.
Speaking about Mark, because Mark was fine. I'm talking about the board before Mark's board.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that is very important to me. And maybe sometimes that even means things will take a little bit longer because we have to work through a fair and equitable process that is not just fair to one individual, but represents the full association.
Can I make a recommendation? Hello?
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, so we could also just get a sign that says no animals allowed, circle, like one of those official, like a no smoking sign. They also have no pets allowed sign that could be posted on the gym as well, because
that's
that
visual.
rule is the very
Yeah, I like that, because I'm not going to read the 20 commandments, but if I see
right, correct. Yeah. If you see on it's one of the last rules. It's one of the last rules, and if it's a new updated rule, I can email everybody a copy of the new gym rules. But it's the last rule, and some people may not read that. So if you have just a sign that has a visual, no pets allowed with the circle and the cross through it, posted in the front of the gym somewhere, I think that would help as well.
Yeah.
Well, watching the suggestion, which I think is great, we can buy a sign, like a restroom sign, like a sign with a drawing that actually be like no dogs allowed, like, big, no animals allowed.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Post
I
it
would
somewhere in
like
the gym.
I would like to propose if you can, when you send that email out, if you could please include that that please to not have residents like allow their dogs to curb their dogs in front of units, because that seems to be an ongoing issue, which the previous board as well as the board before that was told about it, until finally I had to buy my own sign and put it in front of the unit, because people, even people who live here, will walk their dogs and let them defecate and urinate right in the front of the entrance of the units, which is really disgusting and very dirty.
Yeah,
I also had to put a sign in mine.
Yeah, so I paid out of pocket for my sign. I don't care. I don't mind doing that, but it really should be something that's addressed by the association to all units so that they know that they don't just wake up early in the morning and let their dog roam around in the front of the unit where people walk, you know, to get to their vehicles. And it's like the front entrance of a unit.
yeah. Okay, all good ideas. And I think in terms of that, just going back to that respect and common sense, which isn't common much anymore. I think to that point, having dogs not do their business right in front of someone's front door is a good thing. Not having them do that is a good thing. So, yeah. Well, this concludes the meeting. Thank you all for participating. It is now 7:58. You all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Do I need to stop recording before I stop? Or do I just do stop?
One thing I'm supposed to